Hi guys, so today I want to do a video on something that I really cannot stop reflecting on that I just wanted to share with you guys. So this is more pertaining to the video I posted called Victory, the enemy's words hold no weight, power. So I have just been reflecting on this particular topic like a lot last night and then this morning, and I just wanted to share with you everything that started coming to mind. So the other day when I was like in my bed and feeling sick, what I was going through, it very much felt like a spiritual attack. Now, I have mentioned in other videos when I'm having certain thoughts, I have mentioned that, um, I've realized they're not my own thoughts, and frankly, that's been very, very helpful for me. Now, whenever I've been having certain thoughts, like negative thoughts, dark thoughts, etc., like I was having some thoughts the other day. I don't know if this can be helpful for anyone or not, but for me, it's been very, very helpful. But when I've been having these thoughts, they can feel very intense. They can feel very strong. And that, for me, when this is happening, has been the hardest thing that I've dealt with when I have had these different kinds of thoughts. And I'm going to kind of go into it a little bit more in a moment. But for so long, like I had labels put on me, and I learned to see myself through that lens. I learned to see those thoughts as like whatever label had been put on me, right? Whatever kind of disorder that someone had told me I was dealing with mentally. I learned to see those thoughts in that way for a long time, which in turn, when I would have certain thoughts, it made me, I feel like it made me not see things for the truth of what they really were. Like I said, the older I get, the more that I see these things as from the enemy feeding these thoughts to you. And the fact that the older I get, the more that I'm like, these are not my own thoughts. But see, when I used to see myself through the lens of that label, what used to happen is like I would just start feeling like, well, like this is what I've been told I've been dealing with, and like this is like my reality, and like these thoughts are from this, and honestly, truly, I would start kind of seeing myself through this lens of like, well, like I'm always gonna be depressed, or like this this might last a while because I am like dealing with these thoughts, and because I've been told I've been dealing with this, and because I started seeing myself through this lens. I don't know if this can be helpful for anyone, but I just wanted to share just in case it is. If it's not though, um, I apologize. But for anyone that it might be helpful to, I just wanted to share. I'm gonna go deeper into things in like my video that I can't stop reflecting on. But for me to start seeing these moments as just the enemy, like just a spiritual attack in the moment, it's helped me to not see myself as someone that like had different labels put on them. It's helped me like well, for me, just to acknowledge that like when you are trying to do things for God, or even like you don't even realize that like there's a purpose in you. Because like I've mentioned on a lot of videos, I didn't realize that there was a purpose in me. Like I couldn't see that based on what I was shown with, based on the labels put on me. But I want you to understand there's a purpose, there's a reason for your existence. And even if you don't know what that is, even if you feel like you don't have like abilities that you use for God, or you don't know the Lord that well, like I want you to understand that like you're literally here for a reason. There's a reason for your existence, or there's a purpose for your existence. Um, Even just in the day to day, the way you touch people's lives with your presence and who you are, and just just showing up in life, like really truly. But as I mentioned, the enemy wants to make you feel like there's no purpose, there's no reason for existence. But I want you to understand, I believe like it's one of the reasons the enemy tries to attack so hard in different ways. Because he knows that, you're here for a reason, that you do make a difference, that you do matter. So, what am I trying to say? I feel like when I had like labels put on me and I learned to see myself through that lens, I just learned to see those thoughts as, because I'm dealing with this, or because I was told, this is what I'm like struggling with, you know, that I'm trying to figure out how to word it. Well, let me think. So let's say, let me give you an example because I feel like that's easier. So when these thoughts used to come, that used to, um, you know, tell me to give up, and, you know, tell me that I was a burden, that I would never get out of the struggles that I was going through, that I would never feel okay, all these things, that what would happen is I would learn to see these thoughts and these moments, and I would learn to see them as whatever lens that had been put on me. A lot of time it was, depression, but I would learn to see them through that lens. And then what would happen is a lot of times I would kind of feel this sense of like I'm not safe in that moment, like like my mental state is getting worse. What else would I do? I would start feeling like, oh, because I've been, you know, diagnosed with this, essentially, that this is what my life is. And so I would kind of take those thoughts and I would think, that these thoughts might not go away for a while. Um, and of course, here's the thing, when this is happening, these thoughts feel so intense and so strong. And it's not only in the form of like thoughts coming in, but it's literally in the form of just like all these emotions rushing in that feel so heavy and feel so intense, and they feel so real and they feel so true about ourselves. So, kind of all that put together, but especially the intensity of it all, especially if your mind is bringing up experiences that seem to like mimic what it's telling you, whether in the past, whether in your present. But what can make it feel so overwhelming and so difficult is that those thoughts are so intense, and the emotions, they can be so heavy that start coming up, right? We start feeling all this pain. So everything can start feeling real, so real and true, and it can feel like that is the actual reality of things, right? Like when your mind is trying to make you feel like you're a burden, especially if all those things are happening at once, it can make you feel like um, that is the actual reality, that you actually are a burden, when the truth is that you are not a burden at all, and that you've never been a burden. Now, here's the thing. Like I mentioned, the enemy knows that you're here for a reason, that you touch lives that you don't even realize, um, that you do that, that you make a difference. Um, he knows that. And he also knows that, um, God put some sort of purpose in you. That there's a reason you're here on this earth. That there's a reason you're still here, even like despite everything that you do. He knows that. So what does he do? He tries to attack. Um, he tries to attack with different thoughts. He tries to make you feel bad about yourself. He tries to make you feel worthless. He tries to make you feel like these things are the truth. And like I said, the hardest thing in those moments is because those thoughts and those emotions and everything just feel so heavy and intense. And I was reminded the other night, like when I feel that weight of sadness and that weight of pain, I can't necessarily make that weight of sadness or that weight of pain like go away in the moment. Like, sometimes like no matter what I do, it won't go away in the moment. Or those thoughts that I'm having, that are false. I can't necessarily make them go away in the moment. And sometimes it feels like, God doesn't love me in those moments, or that God's not there with me, even though He is there right beside me. But the other night, I felt the Lord just speaking through me, and I was just getting, kind of fired up. And I knew that the Lord was trying to show me something that night, and it really stuck with me, and I cannot stop reflecting on it. And it's that the enemy's words, they hold no weight or power. And I want you to take that in, not just like hear those words, but I want you to understand that when those thoughts, when those attacks feel so intense, so strong, they feel so heavy, when it feels like all these emotions and pain and thoughts are coming in, and it feels so intense and so strong, and it feels like the truth and the only truth. I want you to know that whatever lies the enemy is trying to whisper to you, whatever he is trying to tell you, I want you to understand that it holds no weight, no power. I want you to understand that him making you feel like you're a burden, that is not the reality of your situation. And what I have found is the enemy will often work in the form of opposites. So he'll he'll show you things that, and by show you, I don't really know how to like describe what I mean. Like just when it feels like there's things coming up from your past or things coming up in the present that seem to like confirm these different thoughts that come up and all this pain that comes up and the things we think about ourselves essentially. But what I have found is the enemy will often work in the form of opposites. So the he will like he will tell you or plant in your mind the opposite of what is the real truth, whether it's about you, whether it's about like the reality of your situation. But he will deceive you. He will tell you the opposite. He'll try to make you feel like you're never going to be okay, when the reality is that someday you are going to be okay. And he does that with like a lot of different kinds of thoughts. But I want you to understand that he tries to show you the opposite of things, or tell you the opposite of things. The opposite of what is really the truth, the opposite of what is really the reality of your life and that situation. Even if we can't see it externally, even if we can't see it in the natural, even if like what we feel is the complete opposite of that. Now, for me, what kind of labeling these moments and seeing them as the enemy, what it allowed me to do is like, for one, it allowed me to see beyond the lies that the enemy was telling me, or start to see beyond that, and to recognize that there is something that God has put within. Like, there is a reason I'm here on this earth. There is a purpose for my existence. For me, that was a huge, like, driving force to, like, um, to keep going in my life despite, like, how dark things were. I mean, it was, like, my main driving force for the longest time was that there are people out there that are hurting, that, I want to help. I may not have felt like I was going to get through things during that time because they're so intense and so strong, and the enemy was trying to plant all these thoughts in my mind. But I really wanted to help other people that have been through similar things, because I know how intense and strong and painful things can be, and just life can be, and how difficult it can be, and just how much you have times where you want to give up. So also, like, let that be a reminder that I knew that there were people out there that, you know, God had put me on this earth to help. And I want you to understand, like, there have been so many times where I wanted nothing more to give up, and I've been so close to giving up, and that literally was what drove me. Like, you guys on my channel, anyone that I talk to and that I help on here, that I minister to, that I've encouraged you to keep going in your life, like, every single one of you, like, during those times, I maybe couldn't see that. I had no idea I was gonna, like, start a YouTube channel or feel led to start one. But every single one of you, like, knowing that I could help you in some way, that maybe I could save someone's life in some way, that had or has gone through similar things that I have, that is what drove me, that I care so much about you. I don't know if someone needs to, like, hear this, but I want you to understand, like, you guys on the other end watching these videos, like, I don't know exactly what you're going through, but knowing that I could help you, knowing that God would put people, like, in my path somehow, that um that I could help in some way, or like, talk to, or minister to in some way, that is what drove me. That is what kept me going. And I want you to understand, no matter how much the enemy tries to deceive or what he tries to tell you, that there's a reason for your existence too. That you have a purpose on this earth, and I want you to know that you truly do touch people's lives. Even just you guys watching my videos, seeing that there are people on the other end, it touches me so deeply that people are on the other side watching these videos and getting something from them. I hope that you're helped and ministered to and comforted and things like that. But yeah, I just want to say that. And I want you to understand that that's not just true for, like, me and how my life has turned out, but I want you to understand that's true for you too. That you are here for a reason. You're here for a purpose, and the enemy knows that, even if you can't see it in yourself. And even if that feels like the hardest thing to believe right now. But when I started seeing those moments as the enemy, they lost a lot of their power, because I was reminded of the truth and the reality of my life and the circumstance in this situation. And what the Lord says, and what the Lord says holds power over everything, over any and every lie that the enemy has tried to make you feel. So I want you to take that in, that the enemy's words hold no weight or power. And I'm trying to really look at that, and I'm trying to really take that in, like in my spirit in a way where it's like, if we really think about that, then yeah, like in those moments that I had, I may not be able to take away that sadness in the moment. I may not be able to take away the intensity of those feelings if they do come again. But I can see things for what they really are. I can see that it's the enemy, and he's trying to get me to throw in the towel any way he can on the things that God has placed within me. He sees the value in it. He sees just how highly God values you. That you offer things that are valuable and significant that only you can to people. Even your story and your experiences, because you never know how that is going to help someone that may be going through something similar, or can see that you made it through all that you have, and they may not feel like they can in that moment, but it's like, if they see that you have made it through and God has sustained you through all that they can believe that they can too. And I want you guys never to underestimate just the impact of your life and your presence. But I want to get into this, that the enemy is worth hold no weight or power. And I want us to really reflect on it, because I can't stop thinking about it. And like I said, that day I had the other day, it felt very spiritual, but it was the shortest attack that I had ever felt spiritually. And I tried to hold on to that in that moment when I felt the Lord showing me that. And I think I caught it in my spirit. Because I've literally been reflecting on it so much, and I'm like, wow, it's so powerful. But understanding that, and I hope you understand what I'm trying to say, is like, no matter how intense or strong things feel in the moment, that regardless of what he tries to tell you, regardless of the words he tries to plant in your mind, whether it's self-doubt, whether it's second guessing, whether it's wanting to like make you give up and make you feel afraid, whether it's just any critical or negative thought he tries to plant in your mind. I want you to understand this. Any negative or critical thought that comes into your mind is from the enemy. And I want you to know he doesn't hold power. Like, when those moments feel intense, but when they come, what if we could just say, that's just the enemy. That's just the enemy trying to take me out of the purpose through which God has put within me. That he knows who I really am, but he wants to deceive me as much as he can. What if we could say, in those moments, it's just the enemy. It's just the enemy trying to attack. It's just the enemy trying to make me feel that way. But I know what is the truth, and I reject those words. What if we could just reject those words and be reminded that those thoughts are not your own, those critical and negative thoughts. And in fact, even if they're coming into your mind, and you feel like you feel that way about yourself, they're not your own. Odds are that maybe you've heard them from somewhere in your life, but still they're not your own. And I want you to understand that it's the enemy in those moments trying to make you feel those things about yourself. Okay. I want you to really take that in, that even in those moments where I feel like he tries to attack with words a lot, and not just when it comes to tearing us down, but also in a sense of the different circumstances and situations in our life. Like, he tries to take our eyes off what is the truth, what is the reality of things. The reality of things is that his words hold no weight or power. I feel like he tries to imprison us in the words that he speaks to us, and he will use things that were spoken to you in your life. And for me, that's been a struggle. But what I really started reflecting on is that, like, what if that realization could really sink in? That no matter what he tries to make me feel about my situation, or tries to tell about me, or no matter who he tries to use, that I could just automatically, anytime those negative or critical thoughts come up, I could just know those aren't from God, therefore they're not the truth. These are not my own. It's just the enemy in those moments. I reject every word that is critical, that is trying to make me feel like giving up. And I know that his words hold weight or that he wants to try to take my eyes off what is the truth. And he wants to try to get me to believe certain things about my situation, because that's when he can try to steal your peace and your joy and try to bring anxiety into your mind and hopelessness and despair and fear. And I feel like so often the enemy tries to take away and steal our peace of mind. And I was just thinking about all that, like how powerful it would be if I started living from that truth that the enemy's words hold no weight or power. So when those attacks come, if they come again, that no, I reject those words. Even if they feel really real, even if they feel really intense, that I see things for what they are. But I stand on the truth. I stand on the truth of what God's word says, and I stand on what he has shown me in my spirit, the hope found in him.